Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all. Welcome to March Sewing Club.
Got some waves.
I like my waves. I know it's funny, it takes a few minutes for everybody to connect and I don't know. It says joining with a little squiggly line. Oh, lots to go over. Oh, wow. Well, as you see, I'm by myself. You poor humans. Yeah, Scott was, we're just playing it safe. No one's sick, but Scott's fiance was, and with Eileen actually here today with us. We don't want anybody to be sick or get sick. Eileen cannot afford that. So I told him to get away. It's a great club day, everybody. We can all cheer. No, I'm just kidding. No, you know what? I said, you know what? Let's not put anybody at risk and chance anything. So you just scoot along and I got this. I can read a PowerPoint, I told him. But we have lots to cover. What number are we at?
It's 36.
Okay.
Right now.
All right.
There's still some people.
I'm just going to give it a few minutes. Just so, you know, everybody can hear all the wonderful, great news with Aurora Sewing Center. Today's a beautiful day, you know, no more of that white stuff coming out of the sky right now. I don't know the weather down the road, but you know, it's like wishful. It's like you get the feel of spring and you start itching, like you're getting that, bring it on. I'm ready. I want nice weather. I know it's only March 9th. We got till May. Someone told me like July. I was like, well, kind of. I hope not, but you know, it is Buffalo.
Yeah, it is.
It is. You know, we never know.
I remember we aren't on yet, right?
No, we're on.
We are.
Yeah, we're on, Eileen.
I'm sorry.
Eileen's on.
I'm sorry.
She's
okay.
my home is shedding.
Horse is shedding.
Oh, so so that means they're getting rid of their winter coat.
Oh,
That's what that means. I followed you. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good sign. That means we're getting there. We're getting there, everybody. Anyone in Buffalo knows we're getting there. Someone's in what, South Carolina? Well, you're already there. You already got your spring. All right. Well, we'll get ready with our PowerPoint. We got some people on. Just bear with us. Clickety click click. All right. Well, welcome, March Sewing Club, and it is going to be with Eileen going over paper piecing, which every time Eileen teaches, every time, and you'll hear me go, wow, oh, like the biggest light bulb clicks every time she explains her techniques or whatever she's talking about. So I'm excited because it puts everything together when she starts teaching. Eileen's a phenomenal teacher, and I do enjoy every time she teaches the new things in my brain. It's like an explosion. If you could hear the fireworks in my head, it's amazing. All right, so what we have going on, Bernina starts this Friday, 0% interest for 60 months. So if you are looking for a new sewing machine or overlock machine, a Q series long arm, and a Bernina or Bernette, any presser feet, all 20% off from beginning of this month to the end of the month. So that is the March 20% off sale. That's all of March on machines, long arms, Bernette and Bernina feet. And then this Friday, if you are interested in a machine, we do have 0% interest for 60 months. That is only from the 11th of March to the 15th. So if you're in the market for a new Bernina machine, that is the time to come in and purchase. 60 months is a great deal. Accessory of the month. Guess what, ladies? It's all Bernina and Brunette presser feet. So this is a great time to add your to your foot collection or your feet collections.
Your foot.
They're not shoes, they're their feet. So 20% off. Bernina Academy March special. This machine is a great beginner machine. If you're looking for a machine for a grandchild or a niece or a nephew that's new to sewing or wants to learn sewing, this is a great time to purchase this machine because it is $399.
It's pretty.
It's pretty and it's easy. It's a great beginner machine. It's not a lot of bells and whistles, but it's what you need to get started. If you have a child that's interested in sewing and would like to do some kids classes at some point when I get those going again, this is a great machine for them to bring and carry, learn. It's not heavy. It's got everything they need for that beginner sewer. Like always, Baby Lock has some great bundles right now. What's really nice is every one of these machines in here has the 4-year love of sewing. It is a 4-year comprehensive service plan. And then the Baby Lock Sew Ed videos, which is hundreds and hundreds of videos available for you to watch all kinds of projects. It doesn't matter if you bought a sewing machine and you wanted to watch a serger class, you can watch them. That is part of the Love of Sewing package. And it comes with the purchase of the machine. So that is a great value. I do know the Love of Sewing is a high value. So that's a great little bundle that comes with the machine right now. And then Baby Lock also has interest-free financing from March 17th till the 23rd. So 0% for 48 months on $3,000 or more, and then 0% for 60 months on $5,000 or more. So if you're in the market for a machine, that's a great time if you need financing to come in and get it then because you have 0% interest. Also with specials that are going on from March 17th to the 23rd, Koala also has some cabinets on sale. So that is, and I'm just messing it up. You receive 0% interest and 48 months on the purchase of any Koala Studio. And right now you get a free slim line lamp, which, sorry, the picture is a little hard. It is the light that is on the serger station over there. And it's the little silver bar. That is the Slimline. It is by daylight. So that whole top bar is a whole nice light and it's natural lighting and it's beautiful. We do have some in the store if you want to look at what the free gift is to see if you have any interest in that kind of purchase. And then right now with the purchase of any of the sewing cabinets from Kangaroo Sewing Furniture, you get the free Kiwi, which is the drawers a little on where the iron is. That's a little ironing station. And then that little side kicks up and it's a little spot for you to a cutting mat. It's really great. We do have one at the East Aurora store if you want to take a look at that, but that's a great sale. So if any of the purchases of any sewing cabinet from Kangaroo Sewing Furniture, you right now are receiving the free Kiwi, which is a $700 value. Oh, tomorrow morning, bright and early, we are doing our Facebook Live sale. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., we are going to be on our Aurora Sewing Center Facebook page. And it is, if you're looking for some savings on fabrics and patterns, I do know Scott just took some flannel over to the other store and a bunch of fabric. So I definitely know we have that in the sale. And I know I have some cleaning up to do in this basement. So tomorrow, if you're looking for a sale and you want a really good discount on fabric or anything, join us tomorrow on our Facebook Live sale. You just jump on, make sure the up top corner says live, so you know you're on real time with us. And then it's kind of like an auction. So if you have interest in an item that I showed, you just type in the item name. And if I call your name and give you a thumbs up, you won that item. And then at the end of the live, I'm going to say shortly after, an hour after we're done, we ask you to call the store and cash out. So it is not a comment sold. It is us doing all the work. So if you're doing it later and you watch later, the show's over, I guess, and we don't know that you wanted it. So you do have to be live for you to win the winnings, saying that you know what's going on at that time. We'll call out your name, thumbs it up, and then cash you out later. And you always hear us goofing around and being giddy. So if you need some entertainment for a little bit too, join us for that too.
It's always entertaining.
There's always entertainment. You never know what comes out of us. All right. And then visit us at the home show. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week, all day, we are at the home show. That is our booth this year. It's been a very nice turnout, not too crowded, but everybody is finally coming out. I think this weekend's supposed to be a great weekend. So come visit us. We are, as soon as you enter the home show, you go to the left, step down those steps, and voila, there is Aurora Sewing Center. All right, March 25th. I know this is Sewing Club, but we just have to talk about this little program that's coming up. We have the Dime Free Patch Party, which is a virtual event. It is March 25th at noon. You register on our website. Go to our website, class calendar. You're going to pick the icon that says Patch Party, and then it will take you over to Dime's website to sign up. And then that day they will send you a link coming from Dime for you to join. And when you do join, you will receive that cute little Artist at Work download patch design that is on the bottom there. Yes, everybody, you're reading this correct. Save the date. Save the date. We are having the club banquet at Clocks on June 14th. That is the only information we have. We called Clocks, we reserved it for that date, and that is it. So just put it in your calendar that we are doing a club banquet this year at Clocks. And then once we have more information, how much it's going to be, and everything else, we will get that all out to you. But right now, just put in your calendar, save the date for club banquet. Oh, and my favorite time, Sew and Share, and you ladies were very, very busy. And I know some people just kept adding to their projects. And I said, oh my goodness, we'll be there for like 9 hours. So Anne Flanders, she has created, and I think this is really cute. It's an egg pot holder, but it's got the little, I don't know, the hand thingy. I don't know how to explain it. I know, what do you call it? It's a pot holder, an oven mitt, but it's with the hands. I don't know what it's called. The chicken mitten pot holder, which I think is great. The pattern is free from National Quilters Circle, which is wonderful. I just know I always burn the top of my hands. If I don't have that, that's why I like them. Audrey Nadal, paper piecing, pillows galore, piping with Diane, and the block of the month with Eileen. So now, and thank God Eileen's sitting here. Eileen, did you teach the birdhouse, or is that something? I know those are her colors of her
we have a
fabric.
block that we do that's a paper pieced block, which I will share today. But as a result of that, they're trying their own patterns, and this was one that
Okay.
Audrey did.
All right, thank you. And that's why I'm asking you, because I wasn't sure. But then the bird at the top is also something that all those fabrics are part of her block of the month. And then the two bottom blocks, the stars, are the block of the month, one of the blocks that Eileen has taught in her block of the month club. They're beautiful. Colleen D completed this quilt from a kit that had 6 1-yard cuts of fabric. Love the fabrics. And it measured a 61 by 76. Wow. She had it long arm quilted by Loretta Caldwell, and it was just sent to my granddaughter in Texas. I bet you she loves it, because I love it. Deb Gagnon made a small projects on her snowy Saturday that was happening a couple weeks ago, and they are microwave potato pouches, which is really great because who else doesn't want potatoes on a potato pouch? because then you do know someone's gonna go, what are these for? Well, duh.
Those potato pouches
When-
are great.
So I just gonna say, I have gotten very excited. Both stores will have food fabrics,
Oh, good.
a lot of them, because fruits and vegetables, and so we do, and barbecue, so we do have a lot of food fabrics that are in and are coming in. So if you like the potato pouches, I mean, heck, you can make all kinds of food things. Okay, Darlene Arrington, GE Taylor quilt made in Tim Holtz abandoned fabrics, which I think is awesome. It looks like a work of art.
Yes.
I would not know that's fabric. When I first scrolled through our pictures, my mouth dropped. GE Jackie quilt made in grunge fabrics bought from our store, which I will let you know, we are having that as a permanent collection. So we will have quite a few of the grunge fabrics at both locations coming up. I'm going to add it to our collection. And then the GE square dance made with St. Jude fabrics found at a yard sale that I will donate back to St. Jude's, which is a beautiful thing. Darlene, great job, and what a warm heart you have. Eileen Lemley, and I hope I'm saying that right, made these from panels. It's curved something, and it's been talked about. My brain just went delete. So the pattern is the curve from Diane's panel class. That's what that is. The curve scallop. No, was it the scallop table runner? Yeah, you could be right. And I can't remember. And I know that was only a month ago, 2 months ago. And then, and then the other panel, which I love that, I don't know, the arc in there. Love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Jan Inwards made this for her sister. My sister in Arizona sent me this panel, which, what a wonderful sister. Sending you something for you to make. And this is what you came up with. How nice of you, Jan. And I love the rainbow. It's beautiful. Bright and bold is how I'm going lately. Jill Fink, yes. Diane's class, the gnomes. This is Lucky Gnomes, I think is what it was called. This is one of Jill's projects. It is applique, so those gnomes are appliqued on a table runner. This was a very popular class. Great job, Jill. I know Jill had other things she submitted. I was like, hold on. Okay, so the little mini quilt is something Eileen will be talking about today. That is paper piecing with plaids. That is, again, something Diane or Eileen will talk about. Then you had the gnomes on the bottom, which is the Valentine's gnomes that Diane taught in a class. And then the other table runners and items are from my Facebook Live sale and from the store. The bottom right rolls from my material makers and knitting needles. So it's hard to see a little bit, but it's like a folded up, rolled up case that you tie, and she has all of her knitting needles and items in there. Yeah, really great idea. Keep it all in one place because you know how we lose things. Joy Buchan, shower gift panel placemats from her Breakfast Club pattern. Those are cute, very, very cute and simple but complex in my head. That's how I always see things. Joyce Moran. Okay, the first one, Prairie Point table topper.
Oh, I love that pattern.
Oh, yeah.
I taught that a long time ago.
She's Eileen several years ago. I finally put on the binding and top stitch, all including the points. Great job. Wow. My mouth drops every time I read these things. And then her second up in the top corner is the fabric bowl, our fabric cut using the AccuQuilt dies. And then 3, I bought several marked down buffalo pillows as gifts. Before wrapping, discovered the big circle M on the pillow was Wyoming bison. Oh, that's so sad. So she sewed on a patch to cover and add Buffalo Sabres fleece to the other side. Genius. That's upcycling. And I love the idea that you did that. Good for you, Joyce. How depressing that you grab it now, all ready to do it. And then wait, this isn't the right team. Kathy Sweet. Again, Kathy was sewing like a crazy woman. I want to sew like you guys. I do. I think I'm finally finished with St. Patrick's Day. Well, just in time. Placemats, towel and pot holder, more towels and pillowcases. Oh, Nomies. I wonder who those gnome pillowcases are for. I bet you her name starts with a P. And then using the bright fabrics from our store, a 3-yard quilt on the opposite side and big bubbles for quilting. Really cool. And I love the big bubbles. It gives it so much texture. Mary Eunice, 3-yard quilt top palm tree heaven for my grandson. Beautiful, beautiful. I like they're petites and they're just outstanding. All right, Melissa finished 2 quilt tops this month. I want to know how you finished 1. Now fingers crossed I can get them to the Q24 to get them quilted in the near future. You know what? No one knows but us, and it's okay because I think we're all in the same boat. We all need to finish some projects. The first was from the spring 2021 block swap that I added my own blocks, which I'm assuming is this one, right? The one to my left. All the blocks are made from the same base 12-inch pinwheel cut into 9 equal parts. Wow. But the way you turn the pieces make 2 different blocks. Oh, that's cool. And then the other one is, the second pattern is Brightly by Cluck Cluck Sew, and she loved it. Fun to put together, takes either a layer cake or 13 fat quarters and 2.5 yards background. Definitely want to make another one in her spare time. Phyllis Martin, I love this. This is Astrid by GE Designs pattern, and she purchased that. Well, it would have been our first club, right? With Gudrun. That is stunning. Stunning. It's just, oh my gosh. Sue Fuller by Annie, Get Out of Town duffel. Okay, where are we going? Let's go. I'm out. Get Out of Town duffel bag made for her granddaughter with her favorite wolf fabric. Oh, I see the wolf. It was kind of, no, I was just, no. It's kind of hard to see from a picture. So I'm sorry that okay. Sue Lear has been busy. She's been making reading pillows for birthday gifts, which is a great idea. And then I did get to see this quilt at the retreat that we had in January, embroidered a quilt for her first, her granddaughter's first birthday gift. Quilt is Me Without You by Mags and Me. It's really cute and it's hard to see, but what a beautiful gift. And it just had beautiful sayings and inspiration. It was great. It was great. Sue, great job. Suzanne Shank, pillow with piping and echo quilting to go with her lampshade, which is at the top, and they match perfect. And then 3 more blocks completed for the mystery block of a quilt with Eileen. So that's Eileen's block of the month 1 class that Suzanne is taking. And then we have Tina Belser, finally finished a block of the month. I'm so proud of myself. It was a learning experience for me. So I'm going to say there was a lot to it. It is stunning. It looks huge. And wow, I just need to take these classes. All right, ladies, I'm not working anymore and I'm just going to take some classes because you guys do an amazing job. You blow me away. You do. I can't even get one project done. Every weekend I say I'm going to do something and I sit on the couch and I fall asleep.
That's because you need to rest.
I know, but nothing gets done. It's really bad. So I want to thank everybody who did your beautiful work. And oh, this isn't going to be as fun doing the whirly gig by myself. Who's going to tease me?
We'll tease you. I don't know.
Do you want us to tease you?
No, well, Scott's always taking it away from me. Doing bad. I know. I think he's on, so I'm surprised he's not making his comments. Is he? I thought I saw him. I thought he was babysitting me. Yep, that's him. Oh, Sue Lear, you won, and Sue, I will have this over in Williamsville for you. Ooh, ain't nobody needs to be zoomed in on that much. Now you can all see my black circles. I did sleep last And then Jill Fink, who is also over in Williamsville. So I will have your winnings over in Williamsville for both of you. Congratulations, everybody. You all did a phenomenal job. I'm excited about the banquet. Everybody raise your hands that you're excited too, because I think you are. I just want the chicken. It's been 3 years. I'm just kidding. I'm excited. It is a lot of work, but I'm excited that we can, maybe it's like a step forward, right? Like we're getting there. And that might be the light at the end of the tunnel for June is
That'd be great.
we're moving forward, ladies. All right. So I want to welcome Eileen to club. I'm going to be here for support and the camera lady for you. And I will do whatever we need to. So I'm very excited that Eileen was able to come in and join us to do club today. Welcome, Eileen.
I'm glad to be here.
I know you are. She said she's glad to be here. So we're very excited.
Get my Kleenex in case my nose runs.
Uh-oh.
So here I am, ladies. And it's an honor to be here. I have to wear a hat so that I stay warm down here. This has got fur in it, so it holds my heat in. I want to start by saying I truly mean it, that this is an honor to be here. When I started with my diagnosis last September, one of the things they said was, now you need to get into a support group. And I processed that and I decided that you were going to be my support group because you keep me in touch with reality and what's normal, as normal as we can be with our sense of humor and our funny quilting. And so I truly want to say thank you. There's something very special at Aurora Sewing Center. We're like a big family and you've kept me afloat and it's been good. Some of you have followed my blog, which I've appreciated. Some of you have brought us meals. I don't know where we'd be without it, quite honestly. So anyway, one of the things I'm very proud of is because Alyssa and Scott said that I could teach from home, I have not had to cancel one class. And that's been really good. So you never know really how I feel when I'm teaching, but I've done it and it's been good. So I have a PowerPoint and I'm going to tell you that this is a little bit strange for me because I'm usually used to managing my own PowerPoint, but now we have a different setup here. So it's going to go and I'm going to try and teach from it as best I can. So we have this wonderful lady named Leanne, and she's going to manage the PowerPoint. So I want to welcome you all to Foundation. This is what's called Foundation Paper Piecing. And I've tried to put some spring pictures up so that we can feel a little bit springy because I don't know about your yard, but I'm starting to get some of my plants coming. The daffodils and the hyacinths are beginning to peak up a little bit. So, yeah. Okay. These are my goals for today. That's very far away. This is giving me a test of whether my glasses really work well. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little introduction to paper piecing. We're going to touch on strip quilting because a lot of people start paper piecing with making a strip quilt. We'll talk a little bit about some of the leaders in the field. And then another issue is making log cabin quilts. Some people cannot make log cabin squares and have them come out correct. So foundation piecing for log cabin quilts is also a possibility for you. And then I'm going to show some of my samples that I have made. I took pictures of them. We got them in the PowerPoint as well as hanging up here. I'm going to give you some tools and tips. Then we're going to look at the Florida Star, which is a block that we do in our Block of the Month Club. I'm just going to walk you through the process. And then after the PowerPoint, I'm going to do a little short demonstration and we're going to talk about upcoming classes. So here's my introduction to paper piecing. And you will have to read that because it's far away from me. But I think I can get it. It's like what we call foundation paper piecing today. So as not to confuse it with traditional English paper piecing. And at the end of the video, I will explain what English paper piecing is so that you know the difference between foundation and English paper piecing. All right. And they know that foundation piecing goes all the way back to as far as like 1889, because they found a quilt in the Virginia Quilt Museum that still had paper on the back of it. And it was all old letters that somebody had used. So it's been around for
Wow.
quite a long time. This is an example of a strip quilt that somebody made with letters or magazine pages or whatever on the back of it. So I guess the point here is that some people have used actually newspapers or magazine pages, catalog pages, and you know what I used when I first started was telephone book pages. I used to collect telephone books and then rip the pages out and use them to make my strip quilt with, because those pages were very thin.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they were stable enough to sew strips on. Now, Leslie Claire Greenberg is a name you won't remember, but she is the one that really began to make patterns for people to do foundation piecing with. This is an example of a strip quilt that I made way back in the beginning. And it's huge and it's heavy, because when you think about it, you're sewing all those strips together and you're cutting squares and you sew that together. It's almost like, you know, and then I was a beginner sewer, so I put batting in it, believe it or not, and put a backing on it. And that's why it's so heavy, but it's very warm. Yeah, but it's fun to do. Good way to use up some of your strips. So this Leslie, what she did was she traced a lot of her patterns onto muslin. That was the way she started. And back in 1976, she began to teach other people how to do that. And then it was just a matter of time before they turned the muslin over and it became paper. And now it's foundation paper piecing. And that was back in the around 1975, I think. So let's just touch again on these, they call them string quilts or strip quilts. And what I want you to notice about these kind of quilts is it doesn't matter whether your strips match. They're random. You just make random strip blocks, and when you get all done, you sew them together. So I'm just going to show a couple slides that will demonstrate that. This is a kind of paper that you can buy through the Missouri Star Company that's great for strip quilts. But I'm honest about saying that you could use almost anything for the back of a strip quilt. And this is the process. You take a square and take a piece, a strip of fabric, and you lay it corner to corner, and then you put another one on top of it so they're right sides together, and sew a 1/4 inch seam. And you're sewing it to the paper. And then you open that up and you iron it or press it with your finger. And then you add another strip to each side, and you keep going until that whole piece of paper is full of strips. So here are a couple of pictures that are going to take you through the process. All right, here's an example of where you might want to take a very thin stabilizer or cash register tape for that matter, or freezer paper maybe, and sew a bunch of strips to it to make either a piano key border, or you can make it for the block that we're going to show you next, where you can make a strip like so, and then put that on your paper square as your first strip, and then add strips to it. And then we're just going to go through the next couple of slides, and it'll show you on the left here, see what it looks like when you get all the strips sewed to it, kind of wonky, but then you flip it over and your paper is on the back. And so in the next slide, it will show you how you're going to trim that up and you end up with a block.
Here's the light bulb. Fireworks.
And for somebody who is brand new to foundation paper piecing, this is just a wonderful thing for you to play with on your own and make a bunch of blocks. And then you will notice in the next slide, you can start to put them together and they just become fun. You can make a baby quilt, you can make a big quilt like I did. You can make your strips all different sizes, it doesn't matter. It's just a strip quilt. So you just learn from it.
I can do that. That's
Well, A
awesome.
lot of times you end up with odds and ends of strips, you don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Okay, this is a section of my PowerPoint where I want to introduce you to some of the leaders in foundation paper piecing. Some of them have been around a while and some of them will take you to a different level. Carol Doak has been around for quite a long time. She's got a wonderful little book out that says, the title is Show Me How to Paper Piece. And she's got a bunch of books out. She did one back in the 1990s. It was called Easy Machine Paper Piecing, because this is all done on the machine. This particular book is particularly helpful if you're brand new. Now there's a little write-up on the next slide that I just put in here if you want to know more about it. And when you download today's recording, you'll be able to read through some of these things if you want to know more about them. But in the next page, you will see that inside this book, there are, I don't know, 5 or 6 different pages that are already on the foundation paper for you. And I've got the book here, and so we can look at it. How many pages?
4.
There's 4. So that gives you 16 blocks. And obviously you can copy them and make more.
Mhm.
What I would like to point out here is I want you to look at the heart on the template, on the foundation paper, and then look at the heart on the cover of the book. You will notice that the heart on the foundation paper is not oriented just like it is on the cover of the book. So that when you sew anything on paper piecing templates, it's usually then the reverse. In other words, you flip it over and you get the heart on the right. That is different from the picture that you've got on the left, okay? So I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Now, Carol Doak also, believe it or not, has one called 300 paper pieced quilt blocks. They're all smaller blocks. Now, any single one of these blocks, you could make 4 of them and put them together and create a bigger block. But here she is with a quilt that has been made with one of each one of the 300 blocks. And look at the fabrics being bright and cheerful. That's really quite a nice quilt. And you'll see in the next picture, this is a lady who made that quilt. Her name's Pat Fraser down in Florida. And she got a blue ribbon for it by making those 300 blocks. I think it's really quite lovely. And then in this one, she has a book out called 50 Fabulous Paper Pieced Stars. And they are the stars that go with the states, the United States. And this fellow made a quilt that's kind of an odd size. It's 7 by 12, but I think he did it so he could put it at a quilt show. And it shows off all of the blocks that are in that book. So today there are all kinds of companies that are producing patterns for foundation piecing. One of the first very popular foundation piecing producers was something called the Foundation Piecer, which was a quarterly magazine that you'll see in the next slide. And it was very popular. Liz Schwartz and Stephen, I think it's Seifert, is that the way you would pronounce it? They did this as a married couple. And the patterns in these books are phenomenal. Sadly, they went their own separate ways. And so now Liz has just, I don't know if she just put this out, I think it was around the year 2000, yeah. Where she has collected some of the popular patterns from some of those magazines, and she's got a book out called The Foundation Piecer. It's worth looking into because the patterns are so nice. Judy Niemeyer is also very popular. And I laugh because I have one person that has taken a beginner class with me and got so turned on that she is making quilts now that Judy Niemeyer designs, and her designs are pretty complicated. They look complicated to me
Yes.
because I haven't tried them. But this is a sample of one of her quilts, and she's working off of the website Quilt Works. So it's worx.com. And she's been doing this since 1996. Now, these are two of her quilts that Lorraine Delmar, who I was just talking about, she took my Block of the Month Club, learned how to do paper piecing with our block that I'm going to show you today. And now she's making these quilts and she's so turned on. I laugh. It's like, holy cow.
Wow, those are amazing.
And she says, nope, her directions are phenomenal. And she tells you some places where in the pattern where you need to rip the paper off the back before you sew it together, and other places where you leave it on. But the directions are very complete. Yeah. This is a website. Linda Warland has a website called Paper Panache. And the only way I could show you was just to take a screen, print my screen on my computer. And I just want you to see what her homepage looks like. She does all kinds of things. She has mystery blocks where she'll give you a pattern, doesn't show you the picture of how it's going to turn out. You have to figure it out yourself. And then you can send in your, what you end up with. And then those become for sale eventually, those patterns. She also has free patterns, which you can see on her homepage there. You can click on free and you can get some patterns. In the next slide, I show you, here's another screen that I took. You can see that some of her designs are more complicated, but some of them are fairly easy and they're fun. She has a nice array of choices. And then if you are more sophisticated, or you have been doing some paper piecing for a while and you're ready to try some things on your own, Gail Garber has a book out called Flying Colors, and she does do classes. She teaches you how to design your own quilts. She does a lot with, and I forget, that's a curvy strip that you bend in different directions and you use that to draw your curves that you're going to be making in your quilt. And then you can put flying geese in between the curves, as you see on the cover to the book. And in the next two slides, there are samples. This is one that somebody made, they designed themselves. And it takes paper piecing to a different level. And then the next one, I love this. Look at, they made it so that it looks like the trees are bending. So you can do all kinds of stuff with paper piecing. Now, we talked about the strip quilts. Let's just dip into the log cabin foundation piecing. I want you to see what the papers look like. These are two different designs. I am not sure. Does it say at the top that it comes out a 4-inch block?
4-inch offset log cabin.
Okay, so
And
that's a
then
4-inch
4-inch
offset.
log cabin.
Right. So you've got two different designs there. The one on the right would be a little bit more traditional. The one on the left is offset. That's what a paper would look like. Okay, it's got numbers on it, and we'll talk about those numbers more as we go through this. This is another one on the next slide. This one you can take and it directs you to make your pattern with half of it light colors and half of it dark colors, and it comes out really nicely. Let me say that I've taught a good number of log cabin classes. I'm very, I want to say loyal to the 6-inch and the 8-inch log cabin rulers, because they're so wonderful at you making sure you get a square block. If you weren't going to use the ruler, the other way to get a fairly good square block would be doing your paper piecing. Yes, rather than just winging it. Okay, and here's a paper piecing for a wonky log cabin. And you see on the picture on the right, that's a quilt that's hanging up on the wall, and they have put sashing in between the blocks. And it's just a nice looking, it's kind of fun. If you like scrappy, you know, I like scrappy, I enjoy it, so. Okay, so that's log cabin. You can also get papers that look like this, that this would be the cover on it, that make as big as a 12-inch block. So, and we have access to those through the store. So if you're interested, this is another option for you. Now, this is a log cabin. This has all been done with paper piecing. And then in the middle, they've got pineapple blocks. Those are also paper piece. Now, here is my caution, and I'm just gonna say this outright. Make small projects, ladies, because if you start out making a big project, I guarantee you won't ever want to do paper piecing again. I'm about turning people on to paper piecing, and I want you to learn how to make a 12-inch square and hang it up on a little metal stand that you can hang in your house. And then next month, hang up another 12-inch square and just enjoy them. Or put them together and make something like a table runner or a table topper. Making a great big quilt. I remember Diane, our teacher here at the store, saying that she made one, a great big huge quilt one time. And she doesn't care if she does paper piecing anymore. And when I heard her say that, I thought, I'm going to put my skids on to teach in bigger quilts, because I want you to remain enthusiastic about what you can do with the foundation piecing. This just shows you that there are all kinds of foundation pieces out there. I mean, look at the different shapes on these. It would be very hard to make a true curve with flying geese or odd angles unless you had something like this that you sewed the paper to and easily created it. If I tried to do that, I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't come out looking really terrific. So if I feel that way, you might too, and you just might be bold enough to try some of these other shapes. So here's some samples of foundation paper. This is what you can do. Some of these I have found on the internet, but look at them. That's paper piecing. Look at the campfire. It's got little flames in it, and that butterfly or moth, and the dog and the rooster, and it looks like a piece of art when you get finished. It's good enough to frame. Now here, this shows you some of the paper piecing foundation papers for different kinds of flying geese. And if you look at those, each one of those is a little different, and you can see where they have made some samples using those papers. They're really cute. And then there are others. There's a bird, there's a Santa, there's a little Christmas tree, some hearts. You find yourself feeling kind of artistic when you get going on some of these. And you think, how could I make those afterwards? And I found all these little gnomes. There's actual paper piecing out there for these gnomes. They're just so cute. And so many of you like gnomes. I thought, oh, I'm going to put those out there, because if you want a class on how to do a gnome, then we can do one. And these are all different kinds of stars, all paper piecing. Some of them are very delicate, like the one on the top right. And it just take a minute and look at how different they are. Okay, so here are our tips and tools for foundation piecing. And I want to take a minute and just go over these. First of all, usually you set your machine stitch length to between 1 and 1.3. You want it to be very tight so that you're serrating the paper as you stitch. Because you want to rip the paper off the back eventually. And if you do a tighter stitch, then your stitches hold good and the paper will come off easily. A 90-14 needle works best. I find that the 90-14 is wonderful. Foundation papers for copying your templates. That foundation paper is a little bit thinner. It works very well in your printer. You can copy your templates on it just fine. Then there's something called an add a quarter plus ruler, which I'll show you in a minute. And I like to use the 28mm rotary cutter when I'm doing especially little pieces. And I also use the little cutting mat if I'm doing little pieces. You can use a dab of glue to hold your fabric, but I usually use pins if I need to pin, hold anything. And then I use, I have a couple of favorite straight rulers that I use when I do the final squaring up of the block afterwards. So in the next couple of slides, we can look at some of these things. Oops, I forgot I had this one in here. Here, this is a tip. I have a prescription bottle, an old prescription plastic bottle that I put my old needles in after I've used them for quite a long time. When I do paper piecing, I pull one of those needles out and that's what I use to do for my paper piecing. So I'm not using a brand new needle. If you use a brand new needle, it's okay, but then take it out because using the paper is going to dull it. And you don't want to use a dull needle when you're sewing on your fabric. Now, as far as your threads go, I usually use cotton. And a lot of times I sew from my bobbins. In other words, instead of using thread on a spool, I often will put a bobbin on the top and use those threads to help clean off my bobbins and empty some of the colors that I'm not using all the time. Because, your bobbins get full after a while. And it's nice to get them emptied. So paper piecing is a good way to do that. So those are my tips there. So here is a picture of like Carol Doak's foundation paper. I think we sell that here at the store, and a little mat for when you're doing little pieces. I like to use the 3.5 by 12.5 inch ruler for trimming my blocks afterwards, or the 4.5 by 8.5 inch ruler. Those are both excellent sizes for doing paper piecing. Here are the add a quarter plus rulers. We have both of them? Okay. And sometimes you can get them both in one package.
Well, you'll see what our deals are when we're ready.
Oh, good. These are wonderful because you will notice when you look at the picture that on the right-hand side of the ruler, it's a little thicker. It's like there's a lip there that catches against the paper when you're doing your trimming. And then that's just the little cutter that I use. I use it a lot. Now, here's a sample pattern. And when I do my demo at the end, we're going to put this together. But what I want you to notice, it's called the Fireworks Pinwheel Block. I just showing you the picture of the end result, although it will be the reverse of that. That the pinwheel will be in the other direction. It's very easy. You see the paper pattern, that's what it looks like. That's the way it downloads. But what I want you to notice is sometimes when you get a pattern, it has just the dark line around the outside of those triangles. And so I change it up because the pattern says at the top, add a 1/4 inch. So before I print it out on my printer, I do what I did in the next slide, which shows you how I take my ruler, I add a 1/4 inch dashed line all around the outside. And then the other thing I do is I write in it what needs to be a colorful piece and what needs to be a background piece. So on this one, for example, 1 and 2 are both have got to be colors, and 3 is a background piece in order to make the block that you see there on the left. okay? Now, when I print that out, I also print out an extra one on regular copy paper. And then I cut it apart. And that's how I decide what size fabric pieces I need for putting the pieces together. In other words, sometimes people will say, okay, so I've got this. How do I know what size fabric I need to cover that triangle or that straight section? You can measure it and then add a 1/2 inch or an inch if you want to, all the way around it. But think about how much easier it is to take these pieces and lay them on your scraps of fabric to see whether or not you've got the right sizes. Then you can just cut them all out and you don't have to measure anything. I'm all about, let's just do it as easy as we can. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through this and you're going to say, oh dear, this is boring. Well, maybe it will be, but maybe not. I'm hoping it will show you the process of doing some paper piecing where you can actually see it, because when I demo, I never know whether you're going to be able to see it real, closely. This is what it looks like. Now, in the next slide, it shows you that one of the paper piecing one of the sections, the center of it, is really a square in a square, right? That's what it looks like on a piece of foundation paper. And when you download it and print it, you'll see that in this pattern, it's got a 1-inch test square so that you can measure it and make sure that it printed out right. One of the things that we're learning here at the store is you've got to print it from your computer if you can to your printer. That works great because then it seems to print better. And you have to tell your printer to copy it at 100%.
Yeah, or actual size.
Or
whichever,
actual size,
yeah.
right? Because if it says,
It'll
To page or
yeah,
something.
it'll shrink
it.
just a
it
little bit.
shrinks
and
it a
then
little, yeah. And then you end up with something that's 1/8 of an inch smaller and you want to know why it isn't coming out correct.
Mhm.
So anyway, this is what the center looks like. And then in the next slide, I'll show you, this is what the sides look like. Okay, so you can see when you look at the block and you look at that, you can see you would have to make 4 of those. And then the next slide shows you that the corners are not paper pieced. Those you make with 2 squares of fabric and 2 half square triangles. All right. And when you get done, this block is 12.5 inches unfinished. This just simply tells you that so that you know whether or not you're getting the right size. When you get that all paper pieced, it should be a 4.5 inch block. Okay. Okay, we're going backwards.
Sorry, I
That's
hit
okay.
the mouse.
Okay, and then this just makes the point to you that when you cut your templates out, you want to make sure you cut about, an inch or 1/2 inch all the way around that, because that red arrow is showing you that that outside line you're going to need when you square up your block. So you don't want to cut on it ahead of time. In other words, and I will show you that later. Okay, the inside line is your seam line. So this is the routine you go through for the Florida Star block. And the very first thing you're going to do is take that center foundation paper and you're going to fold it. Where each one of those red squares is, you're going to fold it on the lines. Okay. I took a paper piecing class once where they did not fold it ahead of time, and it was agonizing because it wouldn't cooperate. So if you fold it so that it's floppy in both directions, it makes it all much easier when you're piecing the fabric. Okay, and then you got to decide on your fabric pieces. Now you could cut this apart, and you, just like I said before, or you can do what I'm doing here and just telling you. You need a 4.5 inch square for the center, and then you need to have 2 background squares that are 4 inches, because we're going to cut those in half, and that will give you some triangles to put on the outside. Now, this is my initial introduction to paper piecing to tell you that always you're going to, when you know what pieces you're going to put together, that the piece of fabric that goes underneath the part number 1 on your paper is always going to be wrong side to the paper. So that when you look at it on the table, it's going to be wrong side up. And it's going to go right sides together with, in this instance, a triangle. So I've got the square on top of that triangle because I'm just telling you that to short circuit things, that that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to take our paper in the next slide, and we're going to put the paper on top of that with number 1, which you can't see because I've got it, the flap folded forward, but number 1 is going to lay on the square, wrong side of the fabric to the wrong side of the paper. And then I automatically fold number 2, the line between 1 and 2, toward me. I fold it down and I lay it on there so that there's about 1/4 inch from the raw edges of that triangle and square. All right. And then in the second picture, I have taken it to the sewing machine, opened up the paper, and I've sewed on that straight line between number 1 and number 2. And you'll notice I sewed a few stitches in between and a few stitches on the other side just to set it good so it doesn't rip. And then I open up the fabrics on the back. And when I say open your fabrics, it means open them up, just like I did in that third picture. And I crease it with my finger often. I will take it to my iron and iron it. But it should look like that then when your fabrics are open. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold it between 1 and 3. And I am going to, when I do that, notice that I have to trim some fabric off from the square that we put underneath. That's when I use my ruler. And the ruler slides up against the paper because it's got that lip on it. And I cut off the fabric so it looks like it does over there on the right-hand side. And then I'm ready to slide another triangle underneath. I take it to my machine, I sew it again, and I come back and I open up my fabrics. And now look, I've got 2 triangles sewed to the center square. And then I fold back the line between 1 and 4. You can see I've got it folded back. Look, there's some more fabric there. I need to trim that. This is the process you go through. Use your ruler, trim it off so it's 1/4 inch. And then I put another triangle under it. Okay, I take it to the machine and I sew it, and it looks like the picture on the third picture on the side. And then again, I do the last line, and again I have to trim. I take it to the machine, I sew it on, and when I open it up on the back, it's going to look like so. Strange looking, I know, but I'm now going to take my ruler. And this is where that 4.5 by 8, this one works well with the 4.5 by 8.5 inch ruler because it's just the size of the block. But I make sure that I lay a ruler on there so that it shows me my 1/4 inch seam. It's hard for me to see it from where I'm sitting, but I think you can see it. Mm-hmm. And then you take it and you square that up and you get your square in the square block for the center. And it comes out so nice. Now, then you go through the same process. You fold your lines for this template, and we'll just go right along through this. I'm not going to explain an awful lot, but you can see the routine where, once again, I'm going through the same process. When I get done and I open the fabrics on the bottom, it looks just like that. And then I go ahead and I do this. The next side, I'm going to put another background piece on it. And you see when I open it, look at how nice that point is with the 2 background pieces on the back. And then I have to remember now that I'm going to put 2 colored fabrics on. So I do that, and there's the first one. You see the result on the bottom right. And we go ahead and you end up with the one on the bottom left. And, you know, that's why I say I don't have to go through the whole thing, but you can see the process. And then you flip it over and square it and look at, you've got those nice blocks that are going to go. You have to make 4 of them. And when you put it together, you end up with some really cool looking 12.5-inch blocks. And you can play with your colors. You see on the left how somebody played with their colors and made it just, it's stunning.
Mhm.
So, okay, so what have we done with foundation paper piecing here at Aurora Sewing Center? I want to show you, I started, of course, with my strip quilts on my own at home. But then Barb called me one day and she said, I want you to make a fish quilt for me. And I need it in 10 days
That's
for
the
a
quilt.
club. And I was camping in the summertime and I said, oh, 10 days, I've got 10 days. Well, maybe even less, she says. The nice thing about this quilt is when you create these paper pieced fish, you've got a 3-dimensional quilt because one of the flaps on the fish moves. You know, it's floppy, which was a challenge for me to figure out. But this was my first step in paper piecing after doing a simple strip quilt. So it was a challenge, and by golly, I got it done in 10 days, and it's a stunning quilt. We've got it here someplace.
We've looked everywhere and we're still looking. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what? It's in the abyss of one of the basements.
Yeah, and when we find it, we have to hang it
Well,
up sometime.
we do.
Because I think that this pattern is still out there.
I think I'd have to look
Yeah,
again.
just in case anybody's interested, I think it's still out there. It's cute.
The 3-dimensional
Yeah.
really tops it.
Yeah. And then I went shop hopping one time and I saw this little book called well, it's not a little book, it's an 8x10 book called Little Gems. And it's filled with 12-inch paper piecing projects. And I've got to tell you, I love it. I brought it back and I said, I don't know what you think, but I want to start doing some paper piecing and we're going to start with some easy patterns. And so we started with some easy patterns and a few of them I'm going to show you here. The one on the left is the one I usually start with. And I am very happy to do classes in this again. We are in the process of doing our scheduling for the next several months. And if somebody would like a class in this, we'll put it right in, believe me, because it's worth doing. The one on the right is at the end of the book, so it gives you something to work toward. It's a little more challenging, but it's a fun project. These are some of the other blocks that we made from that book, and these are just my samples that I made, and I've got them here. They're hanging up so that you can look at them. And the one on the right's got little buttons. The pattern calls for putting little buttons. It's just adorable. And I always put a hanger on the back so that it can be hung up. The easy one that I showed you in the top left corner, you can also do like 3 of those and then put setting triangles in them and make yourself a table runner. It's real pretty. The middle one, that's one of the blocks. It's got a nice star in it. And I changed it up and made the stars out of different fabrics and put together a table runner. And it's kind of interesting. It's a different look.
Mhm.
Now, this one on the right is a plaid pattern that we made from the book just recently, actually. And Jill Fink showed it today. That was one of the things she submitted.
Mhm.
And I put it up here too, because the colors are so pretty and she did such a nice job with it. So it shows you what you can do on your own. And then Helen Newkirk, she took that beginner one and she also has done this, as they call it the sunburst. And in her house, she's got those 2 hanging above each other. And that was the picture she sent me. She used the same fabrics. And I thought, oh, what a good idea. And it's very pretty. And so I'm tooting Helen's horn because
It's like a work of art on the
Yeah.
wall. That's beautiful.
very pretty. Now, if you made 4 of those,
Wow.
it shows you in the book that if you make 4 of them, you could sew them together and you would have that beautiful sunburn. I just didn't have time. Okay, now, I don't know how many know that I love trees. I'm a photographer as well, and I'm always taking pictures of trees and groups of trees, and I just love trees. Well, I also love to sew trees and pine trees because I'm a camper. Often, I just like to highlight them, and it seemed like there ought to be some patterns out there where we could make pine trees. So I found this pattern that has 4 different sizes. One makes a 3-inch, a 4-inch finished, I think a 5-inch, and the last one, the biggest one, is either 6 or 7. So what I did was I made them all, and then I put them together in a little wall hanging that you see on the left. And that is in a pattern that we sell for the store. It's kind of a fun little pattern, and the trees are as easy as pie, although some people who are first starting out would disagree with me. So again, if you want a class in this, I am very happy to do them. I love to teach paper piecing classes, and this comes out so nice. Now, I did the tiny tulip class. I taught people how to make 1 tulip. It doesn't take very long to make 1 tulip, but then I played with it and I made 4 tulips and added a heart, and I wrote a pattern for it. Now, one of the things about this little tulip is the stem on the tulip is ribbon. And the pattern shows you how to do that. And so it looks kind of novel. And again, Helen Newkirk, Clever and Helen, she's very dedicated to her paper piecing. She just finished 4 tulips in a row, and she added some extra hearts. And so she's got a nice little mini quilt that she has made, came out just so cute. It's just fun to see what people do with their different fabrics and how they arrange it, because you can be very creative with paper piecing. And then the Northwoods Table Runner. This is one of the patterns from the foundation piecer that I talked about in the beginning, where they had these quarterly books out. Those patterns are so well defined, and really many of them are quite easy to make. This is one of them. And this is how long it is. I mean, it's a long, we've got, my sample is here, which I will show you. But you can have fun with your green scraps and your background and make a gorgeous runner. I have taught this, I taught it on Zoom. And these classes I usually teach on Zoom because, first of all, that's the way I'm teaching right now. And it works. We've done fine. So what have I got next? Oh, this was another pattern. I found it in a magazine that was put out by, well, it was, oh dear, one of the quilting magazines several years ago. And it was the one on the left. And it also showed how you could make it as a Halloween table topper. This is fun to make. These little houses are kind of cute. And it makes us, you've got 2 stars in the middle, basically. And it's almost like an optical illusion that when the roofs come together, you've got a star. I played with it as a Christmas topper on the right, which I use at Christmas time. And then in the next slide, you'll see we did this class as a Halloween sample too. And it's paper piecing, and it's not hard. Okay, recently I did the Love Block in February. And I offered something simple because I thought, come on, I want to get some more people going. I want to get some beginners into the class. The interesting thing is I ended up with a class of people that have done a bunch of the paper piecing. And so they had a lot of fun with coming up with what they wanted to do. And on the right, you see that shows you where you can take it, you can play with it. The one on the right, the L and the O, I flipped it around and put a heart in there instead of having it be right next to the L on the left. I put a border around it. They're both 12 inches finished, so they hang up just fine. But look at what some of the other ladies have done. This is
Wow.
Audrey. Audrey played around with this as part of the class lady. I gave the women some heart paper piecing patterns as well, because we needed to find some ways to, I needed to find some ways to add to that love block. When I discovered I didn't have beginners in the class, we had 2 3-hour sessions, and in 1 3-hour session, they had their love block all done. So I thought, okay, we're going to toss some hearts in here. And so they got some options. And I said, I want you to see what you can design then. And so this is what Audrey came up with. And it's very nice wall hanging.
Wow.
Diane Kunert did this. She made, you can see the hearts are all paper pieced all around the outside edges. And then she put her love block in the middle. And the love block comes so that you can make it in different sizes. It's 4, 6, 8. And I also gave the ladies the 12-inch option. So I'm not sure whether Diane made this as a 12-inch block or not. But
It looks it, but I
Yeah.
don't want to assume.
yeah, it came out really nice. Now, tomorrow afternoon, I think it's tomorrow afternoon, I'm teaching the
I think it is.
Shamrock class. And this just makes a shamrock that's about 6, I think it's 6 or 8 inches. This, I will tell you, is not a beginner class. This is one where if you have done a little paper piecing, it might be to your benefit, because this has just got a little bit of a challenge to it. But if you're a beginner and you want to try it, I'm all for it. Well, we'll go through it nice and easy, take our time until you can get it. And then I just made it into a block, added some extra fabric. Now in April, I'm going to offer this. This is a beginner, believe it or not. This is so easy to do. And it's, you can build your own color wheel. What I did was I dipped into my drawers of scrap fabrics, picked some out so that I could do it kind of by the kaleidoscope of colors. And at the same time, when you look at it, it gives you some of your favorite fabrics, or maybe some quilts you've got stories to tell about. Now, when I say in closing, what I'm going to do here is explain to you the difference between foundation piecing and English paper piecing. Okay, so this is what English paper piecing looks like. It's quite different. What happens with English paper piecing is you cut out these shapes, and then you cut your fabrics out, and you kind of baste them around the papers and sew them together. This is all hand sewing. It's not by a machine. And then you sew them together in different designs, and then eventually take all those papers out, and you end up with quilt blocks. Well, this was my feeble attempt at making, I really need to have somebody sit down with me and teach me how to do it correctly. But in the next slide, you'll see that if you are an avid English paper piecing person, that AccuQuilt sells English paper piecing cubes. And you see, if you look at the cube there on the right, all the different shapes that are in that cube, and you can cut them out of fabric or your cardstock or whatever. Okay, and then the next slide shows you that it comes with a definition of all different designs that you can sew. These are all by hand, ladies. If you like handwork, I don't have time really to do this, but I can see if I was maybe going on a very long trip or a cruise or something, it might be kind of fun to take something like that, at least pretend I knew what I was doing, and sew it together. Because look at,
That's beautiful.
that's English paper piecing and they're beautiful. So I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying.
You
I'm
haven't
not there
mastered it yet.
That's
That's all.
Not yet. So that's English paper piecing and this is foundation piecing. This is using paper. Okay, that's how you know the difference between the two. Okay, just to give you a few last minute samples
Look at
of
the
it.
bunny.
I love the koala.
The,
Oh my
the little
gosh,
bunny
oh my
is cute.
gosh.
Look at the koala. Isn't
Oh my
that cute?
gosh, that's
Yeah.
really cute.
There's cardinal and a branch. So, okay. So just watch the schedule for our paper piecing classes and any of these, if you want to learn how to do them, I will schedule classes and we'll get them right in. I mean, we can get one big beginner class.
In the
going.
calendar, just so everybody knows, I do have it on in parentheses saying the name of the class, and then in parentheses, it says paper piecing. So it does say, it does call out which class is paper piecing. I've been trying to do that because just by the name of the class doesn't mean you know what the technique is. So it will say mini kaleidoscope and then parentheses, paper piecing. So you know it's scheduled. That's the class that is the technique in there.
I-
Kathy would like to see the tulip class.
The tulip class is another class that's good for beginners. Yeah, and that would be nice for spring. Yeah.
So, and I am hopefully next week sitting down and working on classes Monday, May through August. So right now is a great time to throw in the chat kind of what you're thinking. So then we can mentally schedule the plan of attack of what you guys are looking for, because I love to hear from you guys what
There
classes
was
you're
one
looking
more
for.
slide, but that's okay.
Oh,
That's
I think it
okay.
just said thank you. I
It
didn't-
said thank you.
Sorry.
That was for you. So thank you.
Do you want me to go over our specials before you do
You
demo?
can,
So
sure.
You take
And then I
a
can
few
set
break
myself up
for a
here.
little bit there? I know. Can we send the PowerPoint? You'll have the PowerPoint in the recording and you can download the recording when that's, when we're done. So when it finally uploads, downloads on our end, and you receive the link, you can download the Sewing Club recordings. That's how you will get the PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right, so you can stay there.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go over the specials for today because we do have specials like we always do for club. It is best for you to call us after we're done with club to purchase, but here is today's specials. Sorry, we're okay. So any of our paper piecing so much more patterns, you buy two, you get one free. We have a variety of those. If you give us a call and let us know, we definitely have those for you. We have the house, we have the love, we have the shamrock, we have the tiny tulips, we have the mini trees, the mini kaleidoscope. I'm turning around. And there's another one that we have, and it's not coming to me at the moment. The Northwoods. Thank you. I was like, there's another one. So we do have the so much more patterns. So again, buy two of those and you get one free. And then the foundation paper we have on special is a nice discount. And then we do have the log cabin paper piecing papers here. So we have those on special also. If you buy any foundation paper, you get a so much more pattern for free, which would be the paper piecing so much more patterns that we just talked about. We do have the books. The books are 20% off. The other books that Eileen spoke about, and I just wanted to touch base on this, we have the Little Gems and the Show Me How to Paper Piece book in stock. The other ones that Eileen had in the slides, I'm sure we can get. I did not look into that,
yeah.
but I'm sure I
Yeah.
can get them. If you're interested in that, just let the girls know at the counter. I will investigate that as soon as this club is over, so I can get the information that is needed. So you can definitely purchase those at your 15% off discount. The only ones that are 20% are the two that we have in stock. And then we have all kinds of little goodies. Any of the the creative grid rulers that Eileen's talking about, all of them that we have in stock are 20% off. The Olaf cutting match, which you'll see, it's really cute. It's small, like all of us ladies, like little small things. We have those. the 12 by 14 inch hangers, we have those that if you make your little 12 inch blocks, you can hang that on a little wired rack. The 28 millimeter rotary cutter, 20% off. The fill blades are 15% off. And then we have the add a quarter rulers. If you buy both of them, the 6 inch and the 12 inch add a quarter rulers, you get both of them for the total of $16.99.
Oh, that's great.
So if you buy the both rulers, you get them both for $16.99
Together?
together. Yep.
Oh
Buy
my
the two
gosh.
rulers for $16.99. Yep. And that is our specials. If you have any questions, go ahead, or you can just give us a call after club. And then I will have Eileen do her presentation on that. I just wanted to go over the specials so you guys all had that in your head while you're listening to her and seeing her show in her technique.
Yeah, I want to show a couple of these.
Sure.
Maybe you're.
Yep, I'll
gonna
turn
do the
me off
camera.
and I'll zoom in.
I just want them to see, for example, how long this, this is really a lengthy, a lengthy one. You can see here I am, and you know, this is long. That's the Northwoods runner, yes. And you would think it took a long time to make, but it doesn't. They go together very nicely. The other thing is, here are just some variations with different fabrics of the mini Christmas trees. You see, I made this one out of like Kim Deal fabrics, which I don't know if you can really see them, but, and then this was just out of some countryish ones that I had in my cupboard.
I'm gonna show you.
And then these are the octagon. You can see the size of these. They're really pretty good size. Am I
You're good.
good? Okay. And this is a heart. Okay. And this here you got your table runner with a setting. And this is a good time to practice using setting triangles from the AccuQuilt that they've got out. And then these are the other ones that were in the pictures. So what I would like to do, and this is here's our kaleidoscope. And you can see on the back of it what it looks like with all the papers on it. This is going to take me a little time while I'm watching TV some night to just pull all these off, but I've left it on so that people can see that, first of all, this is done with a little tiny piece, a template that looks like that. That's all it is. So that you're sewing two pieces of background to a colored fabric. And then you just sew those together to make your little kaleidoscope patterns. Anybody who has never paper pieced before can do this one very easily. And then the other thing I just have here is to show you, I showed you that Florida Star. Here's another one that's done in Christmas fabrics. And here's one that's done in blue. It comes out very nicely. Like I said, this is a pattern that comes with in the block of the month class. I could make it available as a pattern at some point if people are interested in that. Okay, so let's get ourselves kind of set up here. I have a bowl here. One of the things that I like to do is have you be sort of organized when you do paper piecing. And when I say sort of organized, what I really am talking about is not making a mess of your sewing room. We all make a mess of our sewing room, right? But I put all my little scraps that I'm going to throw away in a bowl, okay? And this is just a food bowl that I got from a salad takeout. Okay. Now, this is the pinwheel block that I showed you on the PowerPoint. And I have picked out some fabrics that I would like to make it with. And so I went ahead and, like I showed you, I copied this onto my foundation paper piecing. Now I've gone ahead and I've already made some of the pieces for this. So I'm just going to show you how to do this one. In other words, I cut it apart and I had to figure out what sizes I needed to put together. But when you copy it onto your foundation paper, you're going to have it looking like so. And so what I do is take a pair of paper scissors and I just cut right down through the middle because I want to make sure that I can see the dashed line that I added around the outside of the pattern. All right. Whoa. I think we just went flying there for a minute.
Wait,
Oh dear.
hold on, ladies. We're
Oh, did-
unplugged.
oh,
Something
it-
unplugged. I don't know what.
The camera just came unplugged, ladies. Hang on a minute.
What did unplug?
Oh, this. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay,
You got it?
yep, sorry, ladies. Trying to get the right angle.
There we go.
Oh,
We're
there
good.
you go. Okay. So this is after you cut your templates apart, that's the way it would look because I don't want to take my scissors and cut on that dashed line or in some cases, the solid line around because then I wouldn't know where to square it up afterwards. I wouldn't know what I was supposed to refer to. So those are the two pattern pieces that I'm going to use right now. Now, what I did was I made myself an extra copy like I showed you before. And I took my pieces and I've laid them on the fabrics that I'm going to use. So I've got 1, 2, 3. That's what we're going to sew together. And then the other one is a little bit different. And that's 1. And here's 2. And here's 3. So I know exactly what it is I want to sew together according to the way my pattern is. All right. Now what I'm going to do is now make sure I've got the right one here. So this one is going to go over here and this one is here. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my pattern on the foundation paper and I'm going to sew it together. Whew. Shaky.
You okay?
Yeah. I didn't realize I was that shaky. And so when I fold it together, I'm folding it away from me, and then I'm also going to take it and fold it toward me. I want those folds to be so flexible that it'll be really easy to sew. Okay. So now I just want to make sure I've got the right pieces. Okay, so these are the 3 pieces I want. This is my piece number 1. And I'm going to tell you that I know, and you can tell by looking here, that this first one is going to be color, the second one's going to be color, and the third one is going to be my background piece. So here's my number 1. I know that my number 1 has got to be upside down because the wrong side of number 1 has got to go against the wrong side of this paper. All right. My number 2 has got to be right side up because we want to make sure that these are right sides together. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to take my number 1 and put my number 1 right down here. Put my hand right on it. And I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to fold my paper so it comes toward me on the line between number 1 and number 2. Here's the line. So I'm going to fold it toward me. And when I fold it toward me, then I am going to take this and put it on these 2 pieces of fabric. So it's about 1/4 of an inch down from where the raw edges meet. Because I want to have it be like 1/4 of an inch seam, right? Now I am going to take this, I'm going to hold it and fold it up and make sure that it looks like with it positioned there, that this piece is going to be covered. In other words, I wouldn't want it to be too short a piece, then it wouldn't cover it. But I've cut these long enough, so I'm sure it'll be covered. So I'm going to fold it again I'm going to just pinch it. Now, this is where you could use a pin if you wanted to. And I'm going to take it to my machine. And when I get to the machine, I'm going to open the paper up and slide it right under my foot. Now I'm going to stitch with bright red thread, so you should be able to see where I stitch. Oh, I forgot to tell it what foot it has on. Why isn't it? I've got to get my head thinking here, ladies. That's a challenge for me sometimes. Search 97. I am using just my regular 97 foot. You could use a 20, an open-toed foot. You want to make sure you can see where you're stitching. Okay, so the stitch is set to, I've got it set at 1.05. You could do it at 1.03 or 1.0, but you'll notice that the stitches are kind of tiny. Now you can see that I stitched starting a little bit before this line that I'm going to cross, and I stitched a little bit longer on the other side. So now this is where we open our fabrics, and we go to the back, and I'm just going to open it. And I'm, for all intents and purposes here today, I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm going to crease it real good because I want it to lay nice and flat. And always when you're doing your paper piecing, you want to make sure that when you're trimming anything or adding anything, that this is open on the back. So I'm going to flip it over, making sure it stays open. And now I want to do the line between 2 and 3. I've already sewed the line between 1 and 2. So I'm going to take this, and because I folded the paper, see how easy it folds back. And I'm going to get my handy dandy little ruler. On this particular pattern, I could use the longer ruler, but I didn't bring it. I brought my short one, wouldn't you know? The short one is still doable. And it's got a little lip right here, 1/4 inch lip. And the nice thing is it stops at the paper. You see, it just holds it. And then I take my cutter, and this is cutting it so that I will have a 1/4 inch. My hands are a little shaky today. I apologize for that. It's just, now see, this is a bigger piece. I'm not going to throw my bigger piece into my trash. This is my trash. I'm going to save that, take it home, because I can use that in another paper piecing project. Okay, so now I hope you can see I've got that strip underneath there. If I flipped it over and looked at it, you see, it would look like that. Now, I'm going to keep it open. I've got that 1/4 inch, and I need to add the third piece of fabric, which is my background piece. I want to make sure that my background piece is face up because it's got to be right sides together with my piece that I've already sewed on. Now, I'm going to take a look at this because you see, this is fairly long, and I needed to make sure that I had enough that was going to cover it. You can see why you want to just make sure your pieces are on the big side, because you can always use your scraps on something else. So I've got it on there so that it's going to work. I'm going to line up the raw edges, take it to my machine, and sew that together. I'm just going to open up my paper. And I'm going to sew it. And you don't want to sew to the side of the line. Always sew right on the line. And so when I bring this over here, I'm going to open this up. And that's all that needs to be done on this one. Now, this is happens to be a big project for the little mat. With this particular project, I would use my bigger mat, but we're going to do it with this one. So now I'm going to take a ruler. I'm going to take my longer ruler and I'm going to put it on here so that my 1/4 of an inch lines up. This is going to be my 1/4 of an inch line right here. I'm going to square this up and trim it. And you see how easy it is. You just made one section of this particular block that we're making. This is a nice little block. I found it just recently and made it for another a quilt I'm making, and it came out so nice, and it went quick to put together. And then we trim up this side. And I would give it a good pressing. And look at how crisp and nice that comes out. Now, the other one, let's go ahead and make the other one. If you'll be patient with me for just a minute. If you have any questions, ask away. I'm just going to do this last one and then I'll show you what the block is going to look like, because I have already started putting it together. So number 1, I'm going to take is my green color. Number 2 is my purple color. So my green is going to go on top of my purple.
I love those colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, aren't they springy looking?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put this right on here. Make sure that I center it. Whoops, there's my number 1. See, put your number 1 down here, fold the 2 towards you. A lot of us that have done paper piecing have had some issues with pieces or the starting with 1 and 2. And so I have just learned to say, make sure you put your number 1 down right in front of you. And flip your 2 toward you and you're good. And if I just move right along and do this, you'll see how quick this really goes. Crease that. I'm going to put number 3. Now, I want you to notice on this particular part of this block, number 3 is a bigger one. When I measured out my fabric, I came up with a piece like this. But when I put it on here, first of all, I want to make sure my tone on tone is right side up. It's a question of which way do I put it on? Do I want to put that on the wide way or the narrow way? And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's ready to go on there. But when I started doing the other ones this morning, I started doing it this way. And when I put it on here, I realized that when I flip this up, it's not going to cover all of that triangle. So you got to be kind of smart. You got to think, okay, I know this fabric is the right size. Let's try putting it on this way. And so that was what I did, and it works just fine. So I'm centering it on here. I think that's going to be okay. Every once in a while, you'll find that you'll get a piece where you say, oh dear, I should have cut my fabric just a little bigger. Okay. So we've got that all done. So now it's just a matter of, let's just trim this up real quick. This one is a little bit longer. Are there any people out there who are, who have never done paper piecing that might now have the courage to try it? I guess that's one of the questions I have. That's a question for you ladies. Or have I turned you off completely and you never want to do it?
I want to do it.
Well, good. You need to take a class.
I
with me.
know. Can I have off of work, Scott, if you're watching?
It's
I
so,
think Scott commented and said, I am new.
I'll tell you what, if I really want to relax, I often will do a little bit of paper piecing. Okay, so now this is what I want to show you. I've got some scraps left I can use for something else. This is what a corner of this block looks like. You take them and you sew them together and you get a block like this. So what that means is now we're going to put this together. See if I can remember. It's like putting a puzzle together. There you go. It's just making sure I get the right side.
We have a lot of people that said they would like to try it.
Really good.
Yes.
All right, where am I?
Trisha O'Connor, Pat Overhaul.
That's-
Nope, you need, yeah,
There we go.
you need one of those.
There, and that goes on the outside.
I see it. I see it.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
And then this is on the outside, so this is on the inside. Oh, and guess what? I have managed to show you.
Wow.
I've got one corner, I don't know if they can see it. One corner right here on this one where I didn't cover it. So what I will probably do is pray that it will sew into the 1/4 inch seam when I sew it together. It may be just fine. But that happens sometimes. You've got to really be careful that your pieces are big enough. But look at how pretty that's going to
That's
be.
gorgeous.
Mhm.
And that's just paper piecing. When you look at the back, this is the way it looks on the back. And after I get it all sewed together, I'm going to leave the paper on when I sew it together because it gives me this line, you see, where I can sew it
Put your
together.
squares all together
Yep.
then.
When I put these 4 corners together, I will sew these together and then I'll sew these together, you see. Then I sit and I just rip the paper off the back and I've got myself a nice 12.5 inch unfinished block.
I have a question.
Yes,
So when you say you rip off your paper, do you rip it off in these seams too?
yes.
You rip
everything.
it all
All of it.
paper gone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And because this is foundation paper, you see, it comes off real easy. Now, there are different, some people will say to me, can I use, like, this is regular
Printer
copy
paper.
paper.
Mhm.
Can I use regular copy? Yes, you can. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. It'll be oh, I shouldn't say that.
A pip,
It's
to take out?
Yeah, it
Okay.
really will.
Pain in
It's
the
hard.
tush.
Yeah. The thinner paper works better. I found out recently there's something called tea bag paper. I am so looking for that tea bag paper. I can't find it
Like
anywhere.
it's really thin, like.
And you don't have to rip it off.
Oh,
You can leave it
So it's
in.
what tea bags are made out of.
Very, very
Oh, okay, I
thin.
get it.
Yeah,
cool.
but I can't find it anywhere. And I think that it must be, I don't know if it's in Europe or in Australia or where it is, but if it comes available, I would like to get some. That would be good.
Yeah.
The other thing I will just show you quickly.
What do you want?
No, that book, I just want to, yeah. This little book here has got a lot of good explanations in it, but in the middle, you see, this is where they've got these rip out pages where these are already copied for you on the foundation paper. I don't know if you can see those, but yeah, which is why I picked out this book. And then it shows you how you can put this together a step at a time. It's like having,
It's like having you at our fingertips.
yeah. So, any other questions, any other things I can answer for you? I'm happy to do it.
I guess just maybe a reminder about the kaleidoscope class in April. That's a beginner.
That's a beginner class. Yes, that's in April. And the tulip class is a beginner class, and that spinner class from the Little Gems book, that's a beginner class. Let me show you this Little Gems book.
That book's got a lot of patterns.
It is packed full. And this, for example, is the spinner pattern. And all you need for that spinner pattern, they give you the templates in here that you can copy. And that's all you need for it. And you just make your copies, and see, I write notes to myself and stick them in the book. But every single one of these is a different pattern, and they're very fun to make. And you can get really daring. Some of these are complicated, but I try to teach you how to go from beginner to intermediate to challenging.
Kathy asked, will Carol Doak's paper go through the printer? Does
Yes.
that
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just put it in your printer, it pulls it right up. The biggest challenge is to make sure you got enough ink in your printer so that it shows all of the lines that you need to.
Because you need to see them.
Mhm. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, Jill thinks that you could put a button in the center.
Yes.
After sewing it together.
That's a possibility. You could do anything with that. That's just so pretty.
I don't think there were any other questions.
They're quiet. I think you
I hope
You-
I.
you
Answered
explain
very
everything so well.
They said you made it look easy.
Well, and it is easy. Some of my people that have taken classes with me, I think, have gotten to the point where they realize that sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be.
Kathy has another question.
More
She's just
questions
typing.
Yeah.
Joy said, it looks like there's tea bag paper available on Amazon.
I have not been able to find it. They sell tea bag paper in a roll.
Oh.
That's what I'm looking for, because then you've got a good amount of it.
Mhm.
I looked on Amazon and I couldn't even really find much in the way of sheets. I think there may be one that's
Right.
there, but
So Kathy said, she talked about adding a 1/4 inch before printing. How do you do that?
okay. When I print out, oh dear. Okay, I guess maybe I don't have the other one. When I print out, I showed it
On the PowerPoint,
in
yep.
the PowerPoint. When I printed this out, if I hold it back here, you'll see it's just two big triangles with some lines. So what I did was I added, per the instructions at the top of the paper.
You took a ruler, added a 1/4 inch
Added a
and
1/4
drew
inch.
your dotted lines around their pattern.
I just drew a dashed line around the outside of a pattern like that to add the 1/4 inch. And then I copied, those were my templates. Yeah.
So you printed it,
I
drew
printed
your
it.
1/4 inch and then put it through the printer and did more copies on your
right.
foundation paper. So you had your 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to process it in my head and iterating.
Well, sometimes when you look at the pattern, you think, oh, I'm not sure I know what to do with this, because the 1/4, you don't see that 1/4 inch.
Correct.
And a lot of times they don't give you the 1/4 inch, so you have to take the time to do that.
And
just
it's
part of the
better that it's
process.
there and that you add it so you don't make a mistake, because after you do all that work and you
Oh.
don't have it, just colorful things come out of our mouths when we're done. And I'm sure none of you have said those things.
Right.
Never.
No.
Oh, no. Well, That's debatable.
Oh, snickerdoodles is what comes out of everyone's mouth.
Oh, my.
Well,
Okay.
is that it?
I think so. Everyone's just saying thank you and.
Eileen, I want to thank you for coming in. We miss you. But we know we see you Zoom, but we like seeing you in person, but we want to keep you safe and healthy. As always, the fireworks were blowing up in my head. It was a phenomenal club, phenomenal.
Good. I hope I've turned some of you on because it's worth it. It's like taking a little vacation, doing some paper piecing.
Yeah, I think someone was Googling some things. All right, well,
Okay.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you
Please
for coming.
pay attention to our class list, our calendar for all the paper piecing classes. There's 2 coming up, and then there will definitely be more in the future.
Yep.
Everyone have a great and safe, healthy month. We'll see you next week for Embroidery Club. Wow, that's next Wednesday, if you're part of Embroidery Club. And don't forget, save the date, June 14th, banquet, club, dinner. All right, everybody, have a great day.
I'm so excited that we're going to do that. Thank you for coming.